Gallimera, Gallimera, Gallimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Once again, I do apologise for the croakiness of my voice, but it was another busy night last night in Magdalena's, and we had an absolute blast. Can I just say thank you to the Irish that are here at the moment? Yesterday, Jane and I, along with our friend Steve, we spent most of the day, or most of the afternoon, yesterday afternoon at the Priscilla pool area in Sillaby, which is absolutely lovely. It's just beside Obelix restaurant, across the road from the Red Lion. Beautiful gardened area, pool. It's one of our little favourite haunts. And this Irish group were there, and they were spending a lot of money and a lot of drinks. Big group of them. I think it said there was about 9 or 10 of them at the moment. But they came into Magdalena's quite late last night and made their presence felt, but in a nice way. And I did some overtime playing lots of Irish music last night, which I think surprised them at some of the stuff I was playing. Hence the voice is a bit croaky this morning. And can I say thank you to you guys? Absolute delight. Lovely to see the Irish back in Sillaby as well. And again, they said they're definitely coming back, which is good. And I know at Pasilio as well that he was very pleased to see you guys, as it's helping him through his very difficult season this year. That is for sure. Right, the weather this morning then. Thank you to Amanda. She says, morning, Ginge. Thursday's weather, sunny and very hot, really. Extremely high temperatures. Temperatures 37 degrees, but they're going to feel like 38. She says, have a great day. I've got to be honest, yesterday on my bike, the highest reading I had on my bike thermometer again was 41 degrees Celsius. That was when we were leaving Pasilio. Going to work last night, the temperature was 36. All right, going to work. And coming home in the early hours of the morning, the temperature was round about 28. So, yeah, it was hot yesterday, and I've noticed now that some of the other news mediums are now referring to 1987 and the heat wave of 1987, saying everything is on par with that. So once again, there are fire warnings galore going out. There's also warnings about health, staying, having a drink. What's the word? Where you drink water to stay good. Anyway, I can't remember the word now. But anyway, so people are being advised now to hydrate. That's the word, hydrate. All right. And make sure that you don't succumb to the heat, all right, too much. I'm only going to look at the arrivals today from the UK or places of interest. But at the moment from the UK, we've got a Jet 2 in at 12:55 from London Stansted. We've got a Jet 2 in from Birmingham at 13:40. We've then got an EasyJet in at 13:45, and then we've got another Jet 2 in from Manchester at 21:15. Jane today is at the airport, and I'm not going to be seeing her until at least well after 6 o'clock tonight. So she's down there all day meeting and greeting people on various flights that are coming in. Now, the COVID stats at the moment, I can only say that they are mixed across the country. But they're not boding too well for us here in Zakynthos. Yesterday, we said there was a record 3,593 new infections across Greece. Well, today, that number has dropped to 2,874 new infections across the country. That means the grand total since the pandemic started is 485,015, of which 51% of those are males who have actually suffered. It's interesting to see if we're going to hit the 500,000 or not, because I just have this horrible feeling the numbers are creeping towards there. As for cases identified into the country, considering all the hundreds of tourists or thousands of tourists that are still arriving into Greece, that number is down, actually. We had 15 new cases identified into the country, into Greece in general. That number is down to 10 new cases identified at ports into entry to the country. Now, when it comes to national stats as to what's happening where, they are looking not good, especially for the holiday destinations that I've been keeping an eye on at the moment, either because they're guiding us as to what could happen to us here in Zakynthos. But at the moment, Mykonos, who is that location that's guiding us, they had 23 new infections yesterday, or reported today. Rhodes had an incredible 71 new cases reported across that island. Cases in Lefkada, that really shot up as well. 23 new cases in Lefkada. Corfu had 30 new cases. The prefecture of Kefalonia couldn't find any stats for them as if they've had any new infections. Hopefully they've had nothing, which is good for them. However, Zakynthos, a record number, a second day of record numbers. We had 45 new infections reported here on the island. Now, interestingly, still no information as to what's been going on in the realms of the COVID hotel down in Kerry, whether that is under any pressure. But when you look at the national stats for infections arriving through ports of entry and them being so low, it makes me wonder, we're not getting tourists bringing infection in. It's more like they're getting it while they're here, and obviously maybe while they're trying to get home. But at the moment, there's been nothing coming out about how the Kerry Hotel is getting on. Remember yesterday that the securities minister was actually asking for more hotels to come forward in certain locations to offer their services to be used for quarantine. And I know at the moment in Ali Kanaz, at the moment, there's a lot of hotels that are closed there. So who's to say that maybe one of those hotels that's in a kind of isolated location might not want to try and make some money this season by basically taking up the offer from the government. But as of yet, Zakynthos has not been mentioned as one of those islands where they're having problems with, shall we say, overcrowding taking place in quarantine hotels. Now, just to put that in context, that means that this month of July, Zakynthos has had an incredible 230 infections for July. And when you consider that last month we only had 7, and that 230 is now a record number of infections here on the island. And that brings the grand total since the pandemic started to 732 since last year. But anyway, you wouldn't believe that these numbers are happening because you certainly don't feel it on the ground. So those people who were worried about coming on holiday, I wouldn't be worried. Seriously, I seriously wouldn't. Although the numbers look dreadful and they are putting us under the microscope as to what will happen, if any action will take place. And I had this discussion yesterday with people. I believe they will not put a curfew in here in the island or reduce times and put music bans in bars and that, simply because they'd have to enforce it. And I think that would lead to more trouble, because if people did leave at midnight, where are they going to go? I guarantee they're all going to end up going down the beach, causing all sorts of problems down there. And the police will be forced to have to enforce it this time, because there is enough police on the island. And I think the last thing that we want is to see reports of a riot from holidaymakers, because the police are down there being heavy-handed. So I feel that will not happen, that they will put any measures in to kind of put a curfew in and all of that ban in, because it doesn't work, full stop. It doesn't work. They're just going to have to let things go as they go. Obviously, practice the social distancing, just be careful what you do. Obviously, mixed areas and vaccinated areas and all of that. But don't please think that you can cure this by sticking in a curfew, because that will do more damage, and that will also do damage to the economy as well, and that will also send a signal to those outside. Well, remember, we're already in the red with the Czech Republic, but the last thing we want is a signal going out to the UK and to other nations who would probably want to have an excuse then to shut down tourism coming into Greece when they can hang on to it in their own countries as well. When it comes to deaths at the moment, unfortunately, deaths have crept up as well. We had 8 new deaths the other day reported. Today, report to 15 new deaths. Death toll now is 12,926. getting very close to the 13,000 deaths level since the pandemic started. And again, the same figures as before, 96% of those people had underlying health issues or were over the age of 70. When it comes to critical cases as well, in ICUs across the country, they have crept up, but just marginally crept up. 142 reported yesterday in ICUs across the country, has now crept up to 144, 88 of which are male and 56 are female. So again, just a little bit of an increase, but nothing untoward, I would say as well. Right, the news then. Right, big news yesterday, and thank you to those people, Brian Cardington, that sent me this as well, just to give me a heads up. Fully vaccinated travellers from the EU and the US will not have to quarantine when arriving in England, Scotland and Wales from another amber list country. Now that has been confirmed, and that's great news for us. That means that it's very unlikely that we're going to have either extra measures put in our place or the plug pulled from the UK as to travel here. Anyway, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said that this change regarding US and EU arrivals will come into force from 4 a.m. on August the 2nd. Now, applicable passengers must have received 2 jabs with vaccine authorized by the European Medicines Agency, or the EMA, or the US with vaccines authorized by the American Food and Drug Administration. Now, the good news about this is, like, people like my partner, Jane, who've been vaccinated here in Greece, it means then that technically there should be no issue with people who've been vaccinated here that are expatriate residents here. You should be able to go back to the UK, not have to do any quarantine, and be free to go about your business, go see family, catch up on people without having to quarantine for 10 days because you've come from here as an expatriate. So from what I am understanding from this new legislation that's coming in on the 2nd of August, you people now are covered. You now are able to travel to the UK if you have to, and you will not have to quarantine as well. So that is really good. However, there will still be the requirement to complete a pre-departure test before you arrive in England, Scotland or Wales, alongside a PCR test on or before 2 days after you have actually landed. But at least you're not doing the 10 days quarantine. And speaking to a lovely fella yesterday from Wales, he was commenting about how much more expensive COVID tests are to do in Wales in comparison to England. So again, just a little point to bear in mind. Again, each nation within the United Kingdom is charging what it wants in the way of COVID costs. Nothing is across the board. And that's one of the things that people have been banging on about, is make it cheaper for testing. We know people are making extraordinarily large amounts of money out of it, and they shouldn't be. When you consider all the free testing that's going on in Europe, and you've already paid for all your vaccine and all your tests in your taxes, you would think that the British government would be offering free tests to help those people and offset some of the costs that people are finding coming on holiday. And I had to laugh. The same gentleman also said to me, he said they looked at actually going away on holiday within the UK and found it cheaper to come here than it was to go away in the UK. So again, another reason for people wanting to travel. It's cheaper here than in the UK. But again, it's all the, excuse the French, the bullshit involved in just trying to get over here with tests and PCR forms, etc., which makes it a nose in actually coming abroad. Anyway, interestingly, the Greek Minister of Tourism, Haris Theoharis, stated in comments on state radio, on Tuesday, expressing the hope that this year will be a successful year for the economy, but also that this next 4 weeks is going to be crucial for tourism here in Greece. Now, the tourism minister's biggest concerns, obviously, is the spread of the virus inside and outside the country. He already said that Germany has labelled Spain red and is imposing quarantine on people returning from there. And based on such developments, the minister appealed to the public, obviously, to go and get vaccinated. Anyway, the tourist flows, he said, at the moment are satisfactory. He said, once again, avoiding a comment on tourist arrivals and revenue levels in comparison to 2019. This is kind of the mantra that everybody says, oh, in 2019, we were doing this well and it was fantastic, it was brilliant. 2020 was not, okay? And also, really, we should be looking at the figures in comparison to 2020. Forget about 2019. That was an exceptional year. But the reality is, it's the year previous and doing better on that year as to whether businesses have survived last year and businesses will go on to survive in 2021. So again, let's get off this 2019 kick of how fantastic it was. Yes, it was fantastic. It was an exceptional year. But the reality is this. Last year has set the standard for us. And this year, if we do better than last year, then obviously we are on a road to recovery. So again, stop wishing about the past. This is the thing about the Greeks. They always wish about the past, how fantastic it was. In reality, it may or may not have been, but it's about the recent past, last year, in comparison to this year, and your business, is it going to survive? Some tragic news as well here in Zakynthos. A foreign tourist who was on vacation here drowned on Wednesday afternoon after falling into a swimming pool in Kalamaki. Now, the story at the moment is that the 70-year-old man was from Poland. He'd reportedly dived into the pool round about 4:30 in the afternoon. There had been reports that he had been eating, all right, and the cause of the drowning at the moment is not known. And the gentleman today is due to have an autopsy performed in Patra. So the body has been moved there, and everybody's waiting to see what the outcome is from that. So once again, we've had more people drown here on the island this month than we've had people die of COVID. So that's an analogy that Jane said. We've had no deaths from COVID this month whatsoever, and we've had more people drown. So please, 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 just be very careful when you're out and about, if you're in the sea or if you're in your swimming pools, and we'll see what the outcome for this poor gentleman was who came on holiday here. Also as well, crime again is on the go again here in Zakynthos. A woman caught burglars shortly after 6 o'clock in the evening at her house in Ano Gerakari. According to information, the woman left the house with a child, and in her absence, 2 burglars took the opportunity to try and break into her house. Now, she was very shocked when she realized that someone had actually entered her house. One of the perpetrators managed to escape from a bathroom window, and the other also escaped through a bedroom window. Now, investigations are going on at the moment. They're in full swing by the police, and I've got a feeling it's the police in Katastari who are investigating this break-in. Once again, please, please, please be very careful. If you go out, don't leave windows open, don't leave doors open. And again, it was just fortunate she came back when she did, caught these people in the process. I think they left without actually taking anything. They were more keen to get away. But anyway, it's a warning that things, you must be careful as well. Also, another story which made me absolutely cringe yesterday here on the island. There was an accident in Agios Sostis, which resulted in a tourist being impaled on a concrete rod, cement rod that comes out of concrete reinforcing. Now, according to the reports and pictures, a gentleman was scaling down the side of this sort of cliff area where there was overhanging and cement rods actually along this area of Agios Sostis. Why he wanted to do that, I think he was trying to get down to the beach and take a shortcut to get to the beach rather than taking the long way down. But anyway, he fell, ended up impaling himself on one of these cement rods. Ambulance and firefighters rushed to the scene and managed to extricate the man off these rods. and obviously took him to the hospital. At the moment, we've not had any feedback at the moment as to the man's condition, although there was talk that he'd only just been slightly injured. So once again, please, please, please be very careful and don't get yourself in a pickle. And finally, an interesting story, which I felt I must actually broadcast. There was a celebration held on Tuesday, on the 27th in Pigadaccia, which is in the northern part of the island. I know it well. Hilary Rogers is from around that area. Those people who know, regular listener Hilary. It seems that they had a celebration in the church there. And in that attendance of that celebration was the local MP, and also the regional governor for the Ionian was also there as well. Now, after prayers were held outside the church, and there was then the singing of the national anthem, the village priest then got up and decided to speak to the faithful. That's the word that they're using in the report. And then obviously mentioned the scourge of the coronavirus that humanity was experiencing. And then the priests arrived onto the issue of mandatory vaccinations. Anyway, one angry citizen started shouting, "Shame, shame, shame," and was furious that the priest was basically, from the sounds of it, encouraging people who weren't vaccinated to go and get vaccinated. And there was a bit of a furore that took part. Anyway, however, the incident ended when people started to intervene, and the man was taken away or taken to one side. But again, obviously, there is an anti-vaccination feeling here, but it's not they're against the vaccine. They're against the fact that you have to mandatory vaccinate, and they're pushing this mandatory vaccination. And there are people like myself who don't want to be vaccinated, don't feel it is for us. It is as good as what everybody's saying it is. And it's certainly not brought the freedoms, although now it's starting to bring the freedoms, okay, slowly but surely, but more in a cynical way than in a good way. So again, for that gentleman, whoever you may be, I know your picture is on the mirror, and there's a video clip as well. You can obviously, in fact, I tried to look at the video clip this morning, and for some reason, it wouldn't operate. So whether it's been taken down or not, I don't know. But it's a piece of news. I felt that should go out. Right, can I just say now, thank you to all those people who are still offering me support and everything else. As you can see, I am still banned at the moment from live streaming on YouTube, which is causing me no end of problems, no end of difficulties, especially at night when I'm at Magdalena's. I used to like to stream a bit of how the night was going. So much easier than taking pictures and sorting that out. Just a quick 2-minute, you know, here it is tonight. This is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I'm not able to do any of that at the moment. And I feel really that my hands are tied. And again, still no word from Facebook, at least with YouTube. When they took me down, I had a reply within 24 hours. But YouTube, cynical as ever, nothing at the moment. So we shall wait and see. But thank you. Can I just say thank you to George Halliwell for your message of encouragement yesterday that you sent me in the wee hours of the morning. I know you're watching me on YouTube as well. And also those people yesterday that I was running into in Sillaby that were all coming up saying, "Oh, you're the guy on the blog, aren't you?" I really love watching you in the mornings. You make our day, and you tell us the way it is. And we would never have believed some of the things that go on in Zakynthos, they said. We always thought it was a quiet place. But yeah, and as I said to them, yeah, wherever you go, there's always something going on. Like wherever you are in England, there's places you don't go in England because you know there's going to be a bit of a problem there or whatever. But anyway, that's by the by. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Also as well, just a quick heads up. Don't forget Friday night, Magdalena's Bar. I'm going to be recording my second live show of dance anthems for beachradio.co.uk, which will be broadcast the week after. I've got my first live broadcast going out this Friday, more or less, on beachradio.co.uk. And the feedback from people who've listened to it has said, "Oh, it sounds really good there. Looking forward to it." So hopefully we're going to repeat the experience on this Friday night as well. So again, I'll keep my ear to the ground. If I hear of anything, I'll make sure I let you know. And once again, thank you for your support, and I'll speak to you again soon. Ta-ra.